Hi, folks. I'm Emily.
And I'm out.
And guess what? I am still within proximity of Alt, and there is now a window in my box. Thank you very much.
And I'm still waiting for my smoothie, but whatever.
Well, okay, the smoothie wasn't smoothieing, so I used a wooden spoon, but it got caught in the blades, and then that sort of ruined the smoothie maker. So now I'm doing it by hand, and it is a workout. Oh, if you're looking for a creative workout, mix your own smoothies by hand, but make sure you switch up hands because otherwise you're going to end up with one hand that's really strong and the other one that's weak. But yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, this is what I've been living with the past week.
That was a positive thing, right? Like, oh, that's what I've been living with. That's like, you've missed me so much when I was on the other side of the basement, but now that I'm here, you realize how amazing it is.
Yeah, Emily's been trying to teach me about like voice inflections to show excitement and just show different emotions, and I keep trying to explain to her that I know about them. I'm purposely not using them.
And I keep on trying to tell Alt that when you're in a medium that's specifically oral, that you actually need to do that. Otherwise, people don't know because they can't see your facial expressions, which in her case wouldn't matter because she doesn't use facial expressions either. She also doesn't gesticulate. So if anyone ever needs some clarification about whether she likes something or doesn't like something, you can ask me because I don't understand her either, but I'm the one person that understands her more than anyone else could even hope to.
And she usually gets it wrong, so you can see where we're at in life right now.
Well, you're very confusing. You're like a closed book.
Speaking of a closed book, we're getting really good with our segues.
This one actually is a closed book for this one. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, also, okay. So the next book we're going to talk about, okay, I'll just tell you. So it's Rod and Ruin by Jonathan Mayberry. And this book, I first saw it. So I think I had heard about the author before. Actually, I don't remember. But I first saw the actual book at a writing conference that I went to. And they were trying to sell the books of, the writers who were going to be presenting. He actually didn't end up coming. I think he was sick or something. Everyone was so excited, like, oh, Jonathan Mayberry, which I did, like, okay, we're excited too. Like, I wasn't so familiar with his work or anything yet. So I saw it there and I was standing at the table for probably 10 minutes with the book. Like, this seems like a really good book, but the cover is so creepy.
It's really creepy.
It is so creepy. And I think the paperback is even creepier than the hardcover because you could open up the paperback. It's like a double layer cover, right? Because when they make like the top cover is like a little bit shorter, so it could be that double image. It is so creepy. And I was like, I want to buy this book, but I cannot have it. It is so creepy. All the books, we're only talking about the first book of the series because we haven't yet read the other ones. Not because we will, hopefully, soon eventually. But it's so creepy. And then when I finally did get it, it sat on my shelf for forever. Then I finally read it, and I was like, why did it take me so long to read this book? It is fantastic. Well, I know why it took me so long to read the book, because it's so creepy looking.
It is creepy. You have to get past, that's why we said closed book. You have to get past the cover, or you have to cover it with something else, especially if you're going to read the book before you go to sleep or around small children.
Yeah, it's so creepy looking. And it's also, part of the creepy lookingness is also a little bit misleading, because you think that the story is going to be creepier and more disgusting than it is, and it isn't. It's a book that's got so much good stuff in it, which we'll get to. So first of all, for the ratings, we have violence as a 3, language as a 3, and romance as a 2. So language is a 3 because I think he got the S word there a couple times. Romance as a 2 because he does have the girl that he's got a crush on, and they kiss, and they make out, and blah, blah, blah. I think it was in the book. It wasn't like a big thing at all, which is great.
And it was, they did talk about it, but he wasn't just like obsessed with her, and they had real conversations with each other about can we be together or not.
Also because they kind of grew up together, so it is like one of the, friends becoming, well, quote unquote, friends to lover thing. But yeah, it's always like one day he realized that he felt more for her than just friendship kind of thing. But you're right, he doesn't obsess about it. It doesn't overshadow the story.
Right. And then they were bonded by experience. So it wasn't just, oh, we're 17, so now we have to have a boyfriend or girlfriend because we've never had one before. But it was, oh, well, spoilers, sorry. You almost died and I almost died, but we're now saving each other. So, but not in the way that like a lot of dystopian things are like, oh, this is our last chance to be together. It was they already had a friendship. There were already feelings, but they didn't know what they were. And then because of this tough situation they were in, they realized what those feelings actually were. So it felt a little bit more full and not just, oh, we're going to throw them together because it's a male and a female.
Yeah. And then violence is a 3 because, not just because there's zombies everywhere, but there is zombie killing that happens, which it gets a little bit descriptive. Like they're putting stakes in people's necks and stuff. And there's also like the two, quote unquote, I guess you could say like the two villain bad guy stuff who,
they mutilate.
They mutilate. And also because the mom gets
beaten
and dies. So, not Benny's mom. Is he Ben or Benny? Not Benny's mom. I think, is it Nix's mom? Yeah. So that also gets pretty, it could almost be at a 4, but it's just like a little bit shy of being at a 4, but it is pretty violent.
Yeah. I mean, I would, well, it's young adult. So if you 14 to 17-year-old, but for the younger ages, it could be, I mean, even when I was reading it, I would not read it before I went to bed. And even though it was a page turner and I sort of couldn't put it down, I had to put it down just because the idea of zombies and some of the grotesqueness of picturing it, he's just descriptive about it so that you can picture it in your head, even though he's not so detailed. It was enough that I thought, okay, I need to take a break and read something like Anne of Green Gables in between, which is actually what I did.
Very opposite, yeah.
Very opposite. I don't know if we, so briefly, it's about this kid named Benny Amara, and he turns 15 and has to find a job or else he will lose rations in this world that he lives in, which is overrun by zombies, and there are just these few pockets of humans that are still doing okay-ish despite all the zombies.
Like a gated community, but like said ironically that it's a gated community.
Right. And then he ends up working with his older brother Tom, who's kind of a zombie hunter. And then there are these villains, and they have to go save Nix. Essentially, I think the tagline for the book is, this book is full of heart. They just don't beat anymore, which is so clever, and whoever came up with it, kudos. But it is a very apt description of the book because it is about so much more than just a zombie story, but also there are zombies and zombie things happen and they have to kill zombies and zombies come out. Everything that you would expect to happen with zombies, except it's not about the zombies.
Yes, which is also part of why the cover is so misleading.
Yes.
If you just see the cover, you think you're in for some sort of, well, not slasher, but like the zombie version of like a slasher book.
Right.
And it's not, because part of what it is that Benny's always grown up. They're like, zombie, kill zombie, kill zombie. They're so evil. And then Tom kind of shows him, even as he's a zombie hunter, he shows him like, no, these zombies are once people. So sure, we got to put them down because the life that they're living. Well, it's more like because family members ask Tom to put the person down. They're like, oh, we don't want our loved one to be living as a zombie, right? Because zombies do eat people and they do, they are doing these things, but also it's not a life that they're living in. If there's no cure for them, we don't want them to just be living in this zombie. So for Tom, it's more like I don't know if you want to call it compassion killing.
Yeah.
But that's what he does. He's showing Benny. It's not just like, kill the zombie, kill the zombie. We don't just arbitrarily go and just kill the zombie. We're going to look for specific people because their family members have requested us to do this, I guess, a kindness favor for them. And so it's not just about going and just like, you're not just taking the machine gun and just shooting. Like right. It's a specific shot that you're firing. And not with mutilation, something that's just going to kill them right away.
Right. It is. Yeah. I like how, I always enjoy when authors pick a known fantasy or like genre or genre type and mess with it, which is one of the reasons, even though I didn't like the Twilight stories, I wasn't upset by how Stephenie Meyer said, oh, vampires sparkle. So like vampires don't actually exist. So she can make them be whatever she wants. I don't think there's anything wrong with going against commonly accepted lore. So I do like what Jonathan Mayberry did with zombies, because zombies, I haven't seen a ton of zombie movies. I've seen Zombieland, and like they're super fast and they're all about just like eating you, and they're scary. And not only does Jonathan Mayberry humanize them, but he just makes them less scary. They kind of shuffle, and they do eat flesh. That's a thing that zombies do, but they're not like these murderous, ravenous beasts that's just, it's almost like a woodpecker. Woodpecker pecks wood because that's what that animal does. You couldn't make it stop. So zombies eat flesh, but there's no like malevolence to it. That's just, This is what they do. And I really liked how I think that helped because they weren't so scary and they weren't as huge of a threat, the story could be about something else. When the scary, when the zombies are like overrunning the town, the story can't be about anything but getting the zombies.
Yeah, and also so much of the focus is on Benny's always like, oh, Tom is always this perfect Tom. He's so perfect Tom. And he doesn't really have a relationship with his brother because he doesn't have parents, because when all the zombie stuff first happened, or like when it broke out amongst them, whatever, so his parents were killed, became zombies right off the bat, and Tom saved him. And he always thought Tom's not the one who saved him. Tom is a coward for running away and all that stuff. And, oh, perfect Tom, who's so unrelatable and so untouchable. And then because Benny has to find a job, and he's so, that scenes where he's going with his best friend to go find jobs, and they're basically so lazy. And they're just trying to, like, what is the job we have to work the least? First of all, it's fantastic. And also, so eventually nothing works out for him, so he becomes the zombie hunter with Tom. And it's not just, learning that, zombie wants people. We can't just see them as zombies are so evil and terrible. He also develops a relationship with Tom, which is fantastic because it really is kind of a sibling story. It has the other stuff to it, but it's very much a sibling story. And Tom is great. I think a lot of people you could see because they won all these awards, which we're not sure what all these awards are that they won. 2011, the Everett Perry Mock Prince Medal, and 2011 Sybil's Award, and Melinda Awards. We're not sure what those are, but for best plot, best character development for Benny, so true. Yes. Great character development for Benny. Best first kiss for Benny and Nix. Okay, whatever. Because I'm just like, whatever. And best literary boyfriend for Tom, which is fun because Tom really is, not a literary boyfriend, but he really is, he also comes from this like, oh, he's so perfect. And he also humanizes Tom so much.
Yes.
And you see him that he's just like, he is a really good guy, even though he's very troubled.
Right.
But not in that like, oh, dark, mysterious troubledness.
No.
Just because he's carrying this burden kind of thing.
Yeah.
That like, oh, I'm looking out for my younger brother.
Almost like you would imagine a prince should be. Like, hear me out.
Yeah. Where are we going with this?
Because he has he just, like a King Arthur or something almost. Like, he's just a good person, but not every action he does is on the surface good, because he's feared. And he's known that he will take out these bounty hunters who are bad people. So he does things that aren't great, but he does them for good reasons. So he's a moral person, which I think, like a truly moral person, which is someone who does good, but also sometimes you have to do things you wouldn't want to do for an ultimately moral purpose. And I think it's a really good role model for a teen book, and I like that it takes Benny a while to figure it out because it's realistic. He's 15. His brother seems like he won't get into fistfights, and fistfights are cool when you're a boy and you're 15. But then and it takes him a while. Like, there are actually a few times when I think, okay, how many times do you need your brother to prove that he's a good person and not a coward, to accept that your brother is a good person, not a coward? But it takes him a really long time, and I think that's probably true. It does take a long time to realize that good people are good, especially when you're a teenager and you have all these ideas of what a cool person is. But Tom is the person that you want by your side.
Oh yeah.
In any situation. He's the person you want as a friend, as a father, as a
Well, whatever. They're more reliable. He's got the whole samurai thing going on.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool too. Yeah. He's definitely cool.
Yeah, he has. I don't know if it's intentional that there's sort of kind of bias, but Tom has some like really cool. I don't call it a Hollywood moment because I hate to bring Hollywood into this stuff. But he has some really like big build-up music moments, like the climactic moments. He has there's some great imagery, I guess you could say, around Tom. So, yeah, I can see why people really like it. But also in general, this book, I don't know, he just really got it right with it.
Yeah. He had diversity without making a stink about it. They mentioned God a lot. Not just...
Thank God.
Yeah, but like really thank God, not just oh my God, because that's different. A lot of characters say oh my God, but they thank God. But it's like they don't talk about religion, but they talk about God, and he's present a lot, which is just... It's just sort of slipped in there. It's just like, here it is. Think about it, whatever you want, but it's there, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. Well, especially when you want to have a morality and innate... When you want to talk about people's humanity and things like that, but the zombies are really people... Well, to me personally, it makes sense that you have to believe in something bigger than this world to be able to find that.
Right.
Because if not, we're all just random collections of atoms just like zinging around. So what gives anybody an innate humanity? And we're always glad when there's a morality that's based on divine morality, I guess you could say, we're always biased towards that. So.
That's true. But they're good characters, and they grow into better. All the characters grow. Even his one friend who's like 14 and he's super into the girl with the big boobs, which is, he's a boy who's 14, he's into a girl with big boobs. That's totally fine. But then he also grows. So every character all of the good characters have some level of growth.
Yeah.
So they turn, like, if you are reading, you can read books and get so many things out of it. You can read it just for fun. But when teenagers are reading books, and these are books for teenagers, they're learning about the world and how to interact with people around them and how to become good people. And when every book you read doesn't teach you how to be a good person or teaches you the opposite, that's what you're going to follow. But then there are books like this, and you see, oh, this is something where you can read as a teenager, you can enjoy it, zombies, whatever, and also get a glimpse of, oh, I can be a good person and a moral person. I think that's incredible.
Especially when it's not based on a love story.
Oh,
like my entire identity is a love story.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to mention, this is book 1 of a dystology.
I still think it should be a quadrology. A
quadrilogy.
A
quadrilogy.
Because isn't a dystology just because it's a dystopian thing? We've had this discussion before, and I'm still not satisfied.
Yeah, I felt like it had to be brought up again.
Okay.
So we could rehash.
Yeah.
Over hash browns.
Okay, I'm not making this smoothie anymore because you said hash browns and with some over easy eggs. Okay. I think that's all we wanted to say about this, except read it. Definitely read it.
Yeah.
And whether you're a young adult or an adult, read it. But if you're younger than a young adult, give yourself a few years or you might have nightmares. And if you're an adult, you might also have nightmares, just fair warning.
And if you're younger than a young adult and you don't have nightmares, we have questions.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't have nightmares, but if you're not a little bit, at least a little bit hesitant.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening. And hash browns, eggs.
And hash browns. Thanks for listening, and hash browns. Catch you later. Oh My Word podcast is brought to you by the pearl-clutching basement dwellers at Oh My Word. Follow us on Instagram for updates at Oh My Word Podcast, or like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For full episode notes and detail, visit eltenenbaum.com. Music is by Tim Burke. Sound is by Gabriel Yaffe. See you next time.